Colleagues, good morning. We've got people still coming in, but let's start because otherwise we will run out of time. Good morning from overcast, a bit cloudy Western Cape. We situated just outside Cape Town in Stellenbosch in the Western Cape, and welcome to all our international Italy, Emilio Romano, as well as from Catalonia in Spain. Now, just to give a small background about the MCAP, because some of the colleagues who joined might not know what MCAP is all about. At COP28 in 2023, 16 regions with Mediterranean climates came together and formed the Mediterranean Climate Action Partnership. And today's presentation is also an outcome of this partnership that has been very, very fruitful over a very short span of time, but it's going to mean a lot for the regions, sharing, learning from one another, and also combining our resources to become a really forceful partnership in terms of climate change and the way we become resilient. Now, the MCAP had its first annual convening in Barcelona last year. And this year in May, we had the convening here in Stellenbosch. It was really two very fruitful convenings. And we've also started with projects, 3 mini sprint projects, of which the Western Cape is a partner in all 3 projects. And this partnership is really moving fast. And we decided that we're going to have a first series of engagements and make it open and invite all people to come and sort of see what the 3 regions that we had bilateral meetings with at MCAP in Stellenbosch. And we decided that between the Western Cape, Catalonia, and also Emilio Romano, that we will have a 2 series webinar this week, today on the 15th, and then also on the 29th of September, there will be another one. And this webinar today is all about showcasing some tools, some climate smart tools. So we will go into the 3 presentations by our, and I hope everyone can see the agenda on the screen. I will stop sharing the agenda now to make space for our first speaker, but I would like to invite Catalonia to say a few words quickly, and then also Emilio Romano, and then we can move into our presentations. So over to Catalonia. Carmi, are you going to say a few words?
Yes, first of all, I want to thank the organization for inviting us to this webinar. We are very happy to share with all of you our project in coastal area by the hand of the Catalan Office for Climate Clima. We work together, and we hope that you find our presentation interesting, and maybe we can draw a collaboration in the future. Thank you very much, and see you later.
Lovely, lovely.
Hello.
I see a hand, so please go ahead.
Yes, hello. This is Patricia. Can
Hello,
you hear
Patricia.
me?
We can hear you very well.
Okay, thanks. I want to say on behalf of Sonsoles Letang, my general director, that please accept her apologize for not being able to join. She sends her best regards to you, Ilse, and she's not going to be here, but I will be attending the session of Carmen, who talked a few minutes ago. Okay.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Federico, over to you.
Yes, good morning to everybody. It's a pleasure to meet you. Such a diverse geographical community. Although we are just linked by the same type of climate, but yes. So I will show you today few. So what we do for heat waves, and then I'm happy to for a discussion or to answer questions.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, are there any questions at this point about the partnership? Anyone who wants to ask anything about the partnership? We are happy to share some information. Anyone wanting to ask something about the partnership? I can maybe just say that we want to thank Catalonia for offering financial assistance at COP30. At COP30, there will be some specific engagements for MCAP as well as the MCAP Pavilion. And from our side, Professor Stephanie Mitchley and Asha Peterson will be going to COP30 in Brazil and also be part of the discussions at the MCAP platform. So let me quickly see if we have anything in the chat box that we need to share. I see everyone is doing some notes. Very welcome to do that. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to our first speaker, Dr. Mike Wallace. And can I ask that we all put our cameras off while Mike is presenting and all the other speakers, just to protect the bandwidth. Dr. Mike Wallace is a specialist scientist at our department in GIS. Farm Mapper. And Mike will give you an overview of Cape Farm Mapper. And then after each presentation, we will allow 15 minutes, or actually 5 minutes, I'm lying, 5 minutes for questions. More than happy. And Mike will also share his contact details if you want to engage him afterwards. So Mike, thank you so much for availing yourself and making time to do this presentation. And over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ilse. Are you seeing my presentation on screen?
Mike, we can't hear you very well.
I see it clearly.
Yes,
I can hear Mike clearly, and I see your presentation, Mike.
We can see you, we see your presentation, but we can't hear you very well.
How about now? Can you hear me?
It's better now. It's better.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. All right, let's get into it. Good morning, everyone. My talk is about an application that we developed in-house. It's a GIS program, basically, that's available online to all our stakeholders, and we've called it Cape Farm Mapper. Okay, so just a quick recap.
Mike, sorry, Mike, can you just put your presentation on full screen mode?
I've got it on full screen mode on my side. Should I rather share my screen rather than the window?
There's a little bit of a lag on your line.
I can hear him well. I can hear him
it was
well.
100% on my side as well.
Is it okay on your side? You can hear perfectly. Lovely.
Yeah, everything's perfect on my side as well.
Are you gonna share it again, Mike?
Yeah, let me try.
Right, that looks good.
Right. Still good? Okay.
Yes, for me
All
it's
right.
perfect.
Good. So just a quick recap on geographic information systems. GIS, as some of you will know, are used to analyze data in order to create a better understanding of our world and to make better informed decisions. And there on the right, you can see the principle of GIS is to look through a whole range of different layers and extract information from those layers and make decisions or support decision making based on some of those layers. And obviously in our area that we're talking about today, the climate change space, it's an invaluable tool for the multidisciplinary work that we inevitably get involved in. So just to talk a little bit about the origins, Cape Farm Mapper was initially conceived for our own officials in-house and also for our regional planning partners and the many projects that we get involved in to provide access to some of our provincial agricultural GIS data and some farm planning tools. And many years ago now, we headhunted a young spatial developer who's on this meeting today, and he was recruited to put to the task of developing such a system, which started off small, but then subsequently way outgrew our initial expectations and actually became a little bit of a monster, as we'll see just now. The application was developed in-house, as I said, using initially open source tools, and then subsequently we moved onto the ArcGIS application programming interface, the API, and the ArcGIS server environment, which some of you will be familiar with. And it's evolved over the years to provide hundreds and hundreds of GIS data sets and tools easily accessible to everyone to support planning and decision-making access or decision-making across a wide variety of disciplines and scales. And it's a free and open website, and it provides many tools, as we're going to see just now, for various applications. And there's no login requirements. It's very easy to get on and immediately start working. Okay, just to look at how it grew, we started developing sort of around 2010 to 2012, the initial application. And then we launched it in around 2014 at a press event, and it just absolutely took off. We subsequently started presenting it at various expos, farmer days, and informally, and it just absolutely grew out of all our expectations. And this is a bit of an old slide, but that trajectory of increase has carried on to the point where we're nearly at 60 or 70,000 users per month. All right, it's easily available on our website. That's the one way of accessing it, the Elsenburg website, together with some of the other tools that we make available. And what is it? It's an online mapping tool designed to assist with spatial information queries and decision-making in the fields of agriculture, and also working closely with our environmental management colleagues. So the application provides functionality to view and query many spatial layers, as I've already said. There's a facility to search for registered farm and urban cadastre, including the survey diagrams for the farms. It allows the users to draw, create, and measure their own features. There's geoprocessing services and tools, which we'll look at a little bit later. And the user can also import and export their own geographical data to overlay on top of what we provide if they need to. And then from that, they can either come out with a solution that suits them, and they can compose and export digital maps or printouts that are of a quality that can be used in reports and even for wall maps. And that's the other URL that we have available that takes you directly to the application there. Okay, so just some examples running quickly through it. Firstly, in land use planning, for crop placement optimization, it allows the user to analyze soils, slopes, rainfall, and climate data, for example, to help determine the best crop locations, and then from there on to actually do some farm planning, even down to very detailed farm planning, such as helping out with row spacing and placement for optimal production. Environmental protection, it allows the user to see where there are environmentally sensitive areas or potential low yield marginal areas, and then create their farming practices around that, hopefully supporting responsible farming practices. I don't use the word sustainable farming practices. That's got a various range of meanings, but I think we all know what we're talking about when we say responsible farming practices in relation with the environment. And then infrastructure planning. We've got a lot of infrastructure information. And that allows, just for example, strategic placement of irrigation systems and access roads. I shouldn't say allows that. It helps the planner to locate optimum areas for things like irrigation systems, access roads, and thereby enhancing farm efficiency and productivity. And then perhaps more relevant to this group today, things like climate and weather insight data. We have long-term data, mostly long-term average kind of data, and coefficients of variation and risk parameters on this portal that it basically combines long-term weather and climate data and broad-scale future climate scenarios from our Smart Agri Plan, which I'm sure Dr. Ilse and Prof. Midgley have talked about to this group before, to support effective agricultural planning decisions by farmers. And then optimized planting and harvesting. It allows farmers to gain insights to match crop production to local conditions and choose optimal planting and harvesting times, maximizing the yield and hopefully reducing the risks from weather and climate. And the next point follows straight on from that, and it allows the best available predictive analytics to help planners, farmers, advisors, and policymakers in decision making. And as I said, it's a completely open tool, and it's available to anybody. And they also, some of our partners have put their data with us so that we can serve their data in collaboration with ours, and that can be viewed in that stack of layers that I referred to earlier. So crop management support, we map in great detail where every single different commodity is grown in the Western Cape through a process that we call a flyover. It's basically an airborne survey of some 300,000 fields or orchards or vineyards across the province. And if you go into the system, you'll see there's more detail as you zoom in, more and more detail shows up, and right down to when you get to an individual field, it'll show you what the commodity is planted and what the area of that particular field is. There's tools that allow the monitoring of crop and rangeland health, together with satellite imagery that's online. It allows simplified tracking of crop and rangeland health and things like early detection of stress or disease. And this is actually further supported by a companion app, which I'll mention again a little bit later on. That's a more specialized application aimed more at technical users of remote sensing. That's called our Sentinel-2 viewer, which is a kind of spin-off after Cape Farm Mapper. And then precision agricultural support. The insights from CFM help advisors and farmers to decide how to allocate resources across our province and conduct interventions to improve crop performance. And then water resources, obviously another key issue under climate change and climate variability. It allows us to locate dams, there's information on groundwater resources, irrigation areas, and it facilitates analysis of various topographic and soil moisture parameters. In monitoring water sources, we have very detailed information on our catchment areas and river systems in support of water resources management. And obviously in our area of work, there's a lot of different zonations. There's administrative zones, there's agroecological zones, but naturally for water, it's going to be more the catchment that is the key area for analysis. And the system has all of these zones in it and allows the user to actually do some analysis. We call it zonal statistics. So you can get information back on whatever zone you in your particular project need to analyze. So it obviously supports efficient irrigation planning. I'm not going to go into the details there, and sustainable water stewardship as well, having access to all that data. Then support for responsible agricultural planning. And I'm going to start by saying our Cape Floral Kingdom has celebrity status. It's one of the 6 floral kingdoms in the world. And I think it's the only one that's contained entirely within one country. and most of that falls within our province. So naturally, there's a lot of interest and a lot of interventions around protecting as much of this very unique floral kingdom, highly, highly diverse floral kingdom. And obviously our farmers being the majority of land, owning the majority of land in the province, and our farming sector needs to work very closely with the conservation plans in the different areas. So the system is great, and that allows all players in this area to have access to planning data. So as I mentioned, our conservation partners actually lodge their ecological data with us to be served on CFM. And then high risk or highly sensitive zones are thus easily identified to inform planners on sensitive areas to be avoided for expansion and land use changes. It allows users or helps users to comply with environmental regulations, having that information on board. And then multi-agency regional planning. Obviously, we end up working with various planning partners in specific projects across the province. And this was actually one of the fundamental initiatives that led to the drive towards creating this tool, CFM. At that stage, I was quite heavily involved. This is now in the early 2000s with a project called CAPE Action for Planning of the Environment. And we really, really saw the need to have a tool that allowed all the role players to have access to a common set of data easily accessible for planning and producing regional plans that were workable and well informed. So that was when we actually started lobbying to get this Cape Farm Mapper developed in development. And very importantly, as a result of that, it put the data in the hands of the planners themselves. They no longer had to always work through a third-party GIS specialist, as was the case before that. They could actually just operate with the data, interrogate it, even put their own data on the system. So that was a great step forward in regional planning in our area. Soil and terrain, obviously the fundamental basis of all agriculture is your soil and terrain. And we've got soil data on there with key characteristics like pH, fertility, and some drainage information. Then slope and aspect, obviously very important, specifically or particularly in things like wine production. I think we mostly all know about terroir and the importance of aspect and slope and location for different styles and types of wine. So that information is on there to help planning. And then terrain-driven land preparation. Obviously, having that optimizes the support for planning and land preparation and the alignment of farming practices with the physical landscape to, again, comply with legislation and support responsible practices, hopefully not developing areas that are too steep where erosion would occur and so on. And then obviously local relevance being, as I said, what we think is quite a special area because of the Cape Floral Kingdom and our winelands and the beauty of the Western Cape. It allows us to structure and make accessible data that's very specific to our own needs. And that's the advantage of having in-house development. So we can be very dynamic and responsive to provide tailor-made data for our local agriculture. And as I said, we get a lot of feedback at various expos and feedback informally or via an online user survey, which I'll touch on again just now. Then support for land reform, which is obviously a key initiative in South Africa to promote equitable distribution of land. And it supports our land reform initiatives and policies for our emerging farmers by delivering this region-specific agricultural information that can be used by all the role players in that particular field. And again, integration with provincial and national strategies is facilitated. And I'll jump the first paragraph and say our national development plan, which is a kind of a blueprint to say where the country wanted to go by 2030, placed a huge emphasis on spatial planning and the need for GIS in developing our country. And all our municipalities and provinces are mandated to produce what they call a spatial development framework for their integrated development plans. And obviously agriculture being the major land user across the province, we play a substantial role in that. And this information that we make available is very welcomed by our municipalities and government partners for regional planning. And then perhaps on a slightly lighter note, the Western Cape's, as I said, well known for its beautiful winelands. There's a vast range of tourism facilities across the province, which provide income diversity for our farming sector. And there we have a lot of agritourism facilities on the system as well. Things like obviously the wine cellars, craft beer breweries, farm stalls, accommodation, and actually a whole list of things that are available online for various kinds of planning and tourism. And I'm going to take a quick look at the user interface of Cape Farm Map. I'm going to run through this really quickly, because I mean, it's fairly technical stuff, but if you are interested, you can go online and have a look. So this is how it looks when you open it up. Very familiar kind of interface if you're used to working with Google Maps or Google Earth. You'll immediately be comfortable working with this. And actually, those same base maps are some of the many base maps that are available in Cape Farm Mapper. So there's some tools on the right, on the left-hand side there that allow zooming in and zooming out and moving around. That would be quite familiar to most people. But the main functionality is there on the right-hand side, where we have a whole lot of different options for doing overlays and interrogation of the data. So if you zoom right in and click on one of the fields, you'll get a little pop-up menu like this, which will tell you the name of the farm and the region, and it'll show you what's planted on that farm. In this case, stone fruit, it's peaches to be more specific, and it'll give you the area. And equally, if we'd selected to add a climate layer, we would have got something like the long-term rainfall if we had requested that, and the monthly rainfall through the year in a graph that could easily be accessed as well. So that's a list of base maps. As I said, very familiar base maps, many of them, things from Bing Maps and Google Maps. We have our own national aerial photography database, which provides quite up-to-date aerial photographs, so a farmer can zoom right down into his farm and get a lot of detail from that. Things like OpenStreetMap, and then some more near real-time data from the Sentinel-2 satellite, and some mosaics from the spot imagery, and those can all be selected according to the user needs. So that's just an example of some of those base maps. And I think there we go, 40 plus base maps that are available. And then in terms of the layers, we have surveyor general boundaries, demarcation, the administrative boundaries, things like agriculture, conservation, natural resources, and many more. We can bring in data from our ArcGIS Enterprise portal, for those of you that know the architecture of GIS. And we can, as I said before, bring in your own data from any other source that is available on a map feature service or image service. You can search for keywords. We'll look at that. You can go and put in the name of a farm, restricted to a particular region, and find the farm that you're looking for. There's navigation tools, again, pretty familiar to people that are used to using things like Google Maps. There you can draw your own graphics. So if you're a farmer and you want to do a little analysis or a farm plan for your own farm, there's fantastic tools available for you to do that. You can actually create quite sophisticated GIS features with the tools that are provided, which is quite unique. I think there's very few tools out there that allow this level of user interaction. It almost gives you the capacity of a GIS for a lot of functionality, but doesn't replace, obviously, the power of a full-on GIS. So there's some very standard GIS functionality, doing things like buffers along water courses, laying out distance markers for farm planning purposes, where you can get equal spacing along a line to lay out something like an orchard. You can also set the angle of that if you want to get your orchard orientated in a particular angle for sunlight interception and so on. And there's also a tool there to do elevation profiles. And one of my colleagues was telling me that people are actually using that for line of sight for setting up radio networks and things like that. That provides quite a useful, little easy to use tool for many different applications. Okay, I'm going to skim through these fairly quickly because I've talked about them. And then, as I said, you can bring in your own user data if you have information from somebody else that's created some spatial information for you. You can bring that into the Cape Farm Mapper environment as well and carry on your work on that particular information. And a very popular tool that people access all the time is just to do a quick measurement of a field to see how big it is, to see what the area is, maybe to work out things like fertilizer applications and that sort of thing, or maybe to measure the boundary of a particular field or farm to get the amount of fencing that they're going to need. So a very quick and easy kind of application. And this is probably the other extreme where you want to develop a nice map, get various overlays and legends, to put a map into a report or whatever that you want to show a particular thing. In this case, you've got some land use in the background there. And there on the legend, you can see exactly what is grown in that particular area that's been zoomed into. And that's a map that, as I say, you can print and maybe put into a report or even stick on your wall if you would like to. Okay, and there's the ability to share data. You can share the particular URL of the location that you're working in. It gives you some options. And my colleague has created an excellent user manual so that it's fairly easy to use. But if you really want to use some of the more advanced tools in there, then this user manual gives you an excellent guide to doing so. One of the things that's been implemented with this third iteration of Cape Farm Mapper is the 3D viewer, which is quite nice to use, especially in our province where we have some nice mountainous regions. And it doesn't show so clearly on this resolution, but you can now, those colors represent different crops. Most of the purples in this particular image are different wines or table grapes, and you can add on again all your different information layers that you've got in the system and overlay them on that 3D kind of landscape or canvas. Okay, access is available on web or mobile using various platforms. So obviously the PC, your tablets, and then also on your cell phone. And although it scales and can run on a cell phone, it gets a bit heavier with all the different drop-down menus and so on. So if you watch this space, we will hopefully be developing a light version of the cell phone application sometime in the near future that will basically give you the same capabilities, but very much location-based, obviously using the GPS in your device. And then some closely related applications, which we use in collaboration with Cape Farm Mapper. We have a weather station network that we've set up across the province, fundamentally to use to monitor climate change and climate variability. We have provided access to these stations freely and openly to anybody that needs the data. They can access it at that URL at the bottom there, and very easily gets either live statistics or some historical data according to parameters that they put in, and they can create some little graphics and so on according to their particular needs. So that works nicely in conjunction with some of the other tools that we have to provide more live and real-time data. As does the Sentinel-2 viewer, which I mentioned before as well, which allows analysis of various vegetation indices. You can either view those indices in terms of graphs like that, looking at comparing different seasons for a particular time, or over the whole season, as we see in those graphs there. We do have some little glitches. You'll see some odd little dips in those lines, but that represents cloudy times when this kind of imagery doesn't work too well. But on the whole, it gives you a very good indication of how your vegetation or crops are performing through a season, and even allows you to kind of see a drought developing very early on when the eye doesn't pick it up. And there you can obviously also use the color gradings that you have for NDVI and the whole range of other vegetation indices that are also available. We also are able to produce very rapid deployment applications. For example, when there's a disaster, using some of the spatial information in the survey tools that the guys produce in a package called Survey 123, which is another one of the products that the Esri company provides under their GIS suite of tools. That can be rapidly created and then deployed into the field to get feedback from our farmers when there's been a disaster. Okay, so just to summarize, it really supports data-driven agriculture, which is one of the goals of this kind of technology, using geographic and environmental data to provide actionable insights for farming success. The collation of land use data surveys, which we call our flyover data, every 4 years, is open to all and allows for exceptional insights and evidence-based analysis and planning. And this is particularly valuable in setting a baseline from which to assess climate change impacts. Having that baseline and looking at the trajectories of change over time gives you a very good insight into what's happening. Is it market influences? Is it climatic variability? Is it climatic change that's causing the variations in agriculture? And obviously agriculture is very dynamic and responsive to things like this. So we've actually picked up some very interesting changes already, having had one of these surveys during a very bad drought in the province. So it gave us excellent insight into what happens with production when there's a prolonged drought. And then the platform supports increased agricultural productivity through better resource management and risk reduction by providing that whole range of information from very disparate sources. And then responsible farming by integrating advanced tools with localized environmental, ecological, or conservation data, whatever you want to call that. And then hopefully it empowers better decision making so that our farmers, researchers, and our own officials and policymakers are better empowered to make informed decisions benefiting agriculture and our environment. And I think that's my last slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you so much. Mike, I'm going to open the floor now for questions. But maybe in the chat box, if you can just put your email address in the chat box in the meantime, then colleagues can contact you if they have any questions. But I'm going to open the floor now for any questions to Mike. We're good in time, so we've got about 5 minutes. So anyone with a question to Mike on Cape Farm Mapper? Any question, comment? Jody, I see your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for the lovely presentation, so informative, and I personally love using Cape Farm Mapper. It's an amazing tool. It really helps us, have a spatial and great picture with all the information that we need to do our work. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jody. Any more questions, comments? Nothing, Mike. It seems to me you did a good job. And the colleagues, please, Mike is available to be contacted. He has given you his email address. So let's also start engaging between the regions on good products and tools we have. So from our side, Mike, thank you so much. And I will give you now a thumbs up, and we can all give you a nice round of applause.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Right. Comment. If we don't have any comments, we will move over to Federico Grazzini. He is from Emilia-Romagna in Italy. Welcome to the Italians this morning. Great to see you here. We really wanted to move over to Italy this morning quickly to have the meeting there, but unfortunately it's only online. So Federico, thank you so much, and over to you for your presentation of the prediction of summer bioclimatic discomfort in your region. Over to you, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation, and thanks also to the Regione Emilia-Romagna that involved me in this exchange. So we'll share the presentation. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I think you must see the, oh, sorry, just started not from the beginning. Yes, I believe you see the full screen now. And so, first of all, I present myself. So I'm Federico Grazzini from I'm a meteorologist working at the ARPA Emilia-Romagna. ARPA Emilia-Romagna is a kind of agency for environment, and we do a range of services, including so we run a meteorological service, and we are also the body that issue the warnings for the region, warnings for meteorology, hydrology, and so it's a kind of quite important role that we have, especially with the progression of the global warming. In fact, I start just with 2 slides about global warming, because this will set up a little bit the kind of the framework. So temperature is keep rising, you know that, but is not, this rising temperature is not uniform over the planet. There are regions where this is happening more rapidly, and other region less. Nevertheless, I mean, 2024 has been one of the warmest. Actually, it was the warmest year globally, and the same does happen in Emilia-Romagna. Actually, 2024 was the 3rd year in a row to beat the record in our region since 1961. So 2022, 2023, and 2024 were just one warm than the previous record. So it's really a kind of impressive progression that is making temperature over our region. And that is basically, yeah, the kind of the background, and that is for that has implication, of course, on many aspects of our society, including the prediction of heat waves, of course. With the progression of temperature, we also have an impressive progression of number of days over our region, in which that we define of the climatic discomfort. So in this graph, I'm showing kind of average is an index that is taking in account the average temperature over the Emilia-Romagna. So when the average temperature over the Emilia-Romagna is above 25 degrees, including the mountains and the flatlands, and we saw that this kind of empirical threshold is defining a really warm day for the region. And you can see that from the 60s to the 90s, those days were below 10 in the summer. So we had less than 10 days basically with that you feel really a discomfort. And from the 2000, this number has almost tripled. I mean, we are in the range of about 30 days. So 1/3 of the summer is basically not nice to be outside. So this is quite a remarkable increase in for us. So summer is one of the seasons where we really touch upon the in a kind of concrete way the global the global warming. So this is quite worrying for us. So we started a kind of specific heat wave forecast after 2003. That was the kind of first really severe heat wave and prolonged heat wave we had in Europe and also in our region. And we set up a specific service that is run by ICE, by the ARPA, by the Regional Weather Service in ARPA. And this service is active from the 15th of May to the 15th of September. So just today is the last day. and every day we issue a forecast. So with the risk of heat waves for the next 3 days. The forecast is based on the TOM index. I will show you later a little bit about it. I guess many of you know it. It's an index that combines temperature and humidity. And so we set up a kind of public web page where you can see the risk for the next 3 days. And the region our region is divided in 8 provinces, administrative provinces. And we divided these provinces in 3 homogeneous climatic parts. So the flatland, the mountain, and the cities. So basically, we do every day we do a prediction on 24 homogeneous areas, taking in account, as I said, about the fact if you are in a rural plain, if you are in the mountains, or if you are in a city. So the index, as I said, is a combination of temperature and wet bulb temperature. So those wet bulb temperature is a kind of temperature that reflects also the presence of humidity in the air. And with this combination, so the concept is of course that also humidity matters for this discomfort, and the more humid is and at the same temperature, the more you feel a sensation of discomfort. And these are kind of the reference of the thresholds that you find in literature for feeling discomfort. So above 21, let's say less of 50% of the population feel discomforts. Above 24, more than 50% feel discomfort. Above 27, most of the population suffer discomfort. Above 29, everyone feels stress. And above 32 is really dangerous, and even for a few hours. This is what the general literature said. But we did a kind of, and this is the kind of a table that shows, you know, the various possibilities with temperature and humidity, and then you see the value of the TOM index in colored, and then yeah, basically the red area is of course the region where you don't want to be, because it's really dangerous for your health. But we did we did a customization of this index, doing some studies of mortality, as with the increase of the TOM index. So this heat wave service we do for the region is something that is done in collaboration with the health regional health authorities. And so when we set up this service, we did several studies trying to find a relation between this index, different way to compute this index, and the mortality we observed during the more and more frequent heat waves we have been observing during the years. As I said, everything started in 2003, and that was a kind of a shock for population in Europe and also in Italy, with a lot of people dying before their time, supposed time, let's say. And so after doing some sensitivity and checks, basically we defined we defined that the most significant way to compute this TOM index for Emilia-Romagna is to use the average daily value. So we don't use hourly values for kind of setting up warnings, but the warnings are based on daily values. And you see this definition of the warning. So if the daily value of the TOM index is below 24, then there is no discomfort. If is above 24 and below 25, then there is a weak discomfort, so it's yellow code. If is above 25 and below 26 is discomfort, and if it is above 26, then it's really heavy discomfort, and then we issue a red warning. So these are the scale that we define, and so every day we set up kind of a forecast for the next days. This is a bit of a technicality, but I think it's important to say. We every day we issue general forecast for the public, not only for heat waves, but for general forecast, but also specific forecast for civil protection, for let's say floodings, and also heat waves. Heat waves, not in terms of health risk, but in terms of danger for infrastructures. For example, we know that if temperature goes above 38 degrees, there can be problem on the transport, there can be problem on the electricity, and so on. And so we issue a range of specific services for the public and also authorities. And we do need to have a kind of uniform information that goes in those different services. That's why every day our forecasters can, the first thing they do when they start to do the forecasting, they choose from which model they will take the informations from a sort of platform that we designed. Is called Meteo Mixer. So in the sense that you can mix the information from the different model outputs, and this allows, once you have chosen the source of the information, you can use, for example, our limited area model. You can choose the ECNWF, or you can choose ICON from, I don't know, the Deutsche Wetterdienst, for example. And then you basically give the same information to all the application in a way to have a kind of uniform background of data that, of course, produce the different results. So first thing, we select the model, and then we produce one of the thing that we do is we produce the forecast of the TOM index using the temperature and humidity predicted by the model. And that, as I said before, we color the different areas. The different areas are colored automatically according to the values computed by the model, but also the operator can change and can adjust the products in a way to give a more uniform geographical distribution and to avoid maybe jumps that sometimes you have in the models from one day to the other. And typically, this is just an example, and typically the results is like this. So of course you have the flatlands and the cities much warmer usually than the Apennines. Cities are specifically warmer, and especially because not just a lot during the day, but a lot during the night, because the heat island is really persistent during the night in the flatland and in the city, and so every day is colored. Then there are also rules applied taking in account of persistence. For example, if for 3 days one city is colored in orange, then the 4th days this city will be red anyway, because we saw through this mortality studies that the persistence is one of the key factor in producing damage on the health of the people. And the hours are getting warmer and warmer, so we need to take in account of this factor. And so persistence is also accounted, and even if the maybe is going to then the temperature drop soon after, the 4th days after 3 days in a row, it will be red anyhow. And so this one, for example, is one of the rule that is applied. And once the warning, the code is issued, so yellow, orange, or red, then there are a lot of actions that are following according to plans that has been prepared by the regions and by the health authorities, or by for example, also the municipalities. In this case, I just put, sorry. In this case, I just put 2 examples, so the kind of specific protocol that the region has set up, and describing what the bodies should do according to the colors. And also, this is a kind of map of the climate refugee that this municipality of Bologna has kind of listed to help people that has not like a cool place where to go to find a place to stay cool. So, and this can be like public buildings or other buildings, or specific parks that they have a lot of shade, where people can go. So it's just kind of little suggestion to try to stay cool, and in addition to the typical one that municipalities give to people. Okay, this is just an example. this is the how it went. Just a second. Give me a second. Okay, sorry, there was a call. Okay, I'm back to the presentation. Okay, this is how the TOM index was during the summer. So the black line is the daily value of the TOM index for the urban area of Bologna. The gray line is what should be basically what is the average during the years, the recent years. So and for comparison, the green line is what happened in 2003. So what we thought was really unbelievable in 2000, when we had this long and super hot summer in 2003, is basically happening very frequently. And this year, although I mean, if we compute we average over the summer, all the summer, we are below the 2003 record. You see that, yes, but I mean, we are almost there. Not every summer, but very frequently. And also this year, for example, in June, there was a really long heat waves with many days over 26. So with many days in red. And then the rest of the summer likely was better, except as a short period in August. So this just to say that the heat in the city is becoming one of the big problem for the health of people. And yeah, so it's becoming quite a serious issue. There was now there will be a slide at the end about the outlook, but let's say that we think also in together with the health authorities that perhaps we should also change a bit of approach, because of course with the increase of cooling availability in the house in 2003, for example, we didn't have so much cooling in the house. It was not so diffuse in a kind of in everybody's house to have air conditioning. And now the situation, so the resilience of the population is a little bit higher. And for example, despite the heat wave in June was really strong and persistent, we start to see an effect of in terms of health, in terms of mortality, only really at the end of this long period. That means, according to the health authorities, that the resilience of population is increasing. That's a good it's a good thing. But yeah, so we have to take in account of also our society is changing in respect to heat waves, and so that's why perhaps we will need to revise a few things. And this is the kind of summary of the different years. And as I said before, so before 2000, the problem of the heat was not really an issue. Was I mean, there were some years with some strong heat waves, but then basically most of the years were only showing only a few days with really strong discomfort. Then came 2003, and then progressively, especially from 2015, there was a strong increase in number of heat waves, and also 2024 has been quite bad. Actually, on aggregating the numbers only on the flat area of the region, then was even worse than 2003. that was about the specific service we do for the heat waves. We thought also was good to give a kind of climatic monitoring to population. So a specific public page again on our website, when people could see the history of temperature over the region compared to climate ranges, and the next 15 days, kind of really quite long outlook. And this is also helpful to set up in the population kind of consciousness of what they should expect in the next days, and maybe also take action if they see the temperature goes really above the climatological mean in a kind of really strong way and persistent way. Maybe they can move to the mountains for that period and so on. So it's a sort of general purpose guide that anyway it's very useful and very, I think people appreciate it. So you simply it's pretty straightforward. You see in black the daily temperature over the region, the daily average temperature over the whole region. In green, so the black curve is the observed of this year, and the green area is the climatological range of basically what this green black curve should stay. And in blue and red, you see the record maximum and the record low of the temperature for that day of the year, recorded between 61 and 2024. And in yellow, these plumes here in yellow is the forecast of the next days. So here you can simply say, yeah, have a trend and see what happened the next day. For example, this is this picture refers to a few days ago, and you see that in the next day the temperature will rise again quite significantly above the climatology and close to somehow again to the record, to the previous record of this year. Okay, just an outlook to conclude. As I said, it will be nice to move to more complete indexes, and also to indexes that are more reflecting the different type of environments. I'm thinking here about something specific for the cities and something specific for the houses also. We are not there yet, but I think it would be nice to have something that takes in account also the discomfort that is inside on average, of course, the houses without cooling. Now, for example, ECNWF is producing this Universal Thermal Climate Index that in addition to temperature and humidity is taking into account also wind and radiation. That also there are also very important factors for climate discomfort. So we will see what will be the what will be possible to do. This is something that we have to discuss with our health authorities. But I think, yes, this one will be one of the most important duty that we will face in the next year. So to predict the heat waves and warning for the population. Thanks for the attention, and I'm here for questions. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Federico. Any questions to him?
Yeah.
Any questions? Maybe I can kick off by asking, you made a comment that above 32 degrees, it's a state of medical emergency. So what would that mean in terms of your region? Would there be a regional alerts to the public? Would there be specific actions that would follow from those high temperatures, or how would you deal with it? Thanks, Frederico.
Yeah, so when it's red, then there are a number of actions. For example, I don't remember now all the actions, but I know that for elderly people, they will specific care. The practitioner, so they will call the more fragile people. So we have a kind of recorded. We are all listed all the fragile people at the local level. So there will be a sort of check that to see if the people, the elderly people that maybe they live alone and they don't have any possibility to move, and so there will be people calling them and asking if they are fine, if they need something, and so on and so forth, or give it some, of course, also suggestion to drink and to keep hydrated and so on. So really, at each level of warning corresponds actions to the populations, and at the red level there are actions in the hospitals, at the practitioners level, and so on and so forth. So yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Sorry, Frederico. Any other questions from anyone? Any questions? I don't see any hands, but please shout if I miss you. Frederico, you wanted to make another comment? Gerard, over to you.
Gerard, yes.
That was really interesting. I was just wondering about cumulative or combined threats or hazards. I know that in the Po Valley, air pollution can be quite a problem. Is this something that you also look at when you just look at the extreme heat and heat waves?
Yeah, it's a good question. I forgot to mention this. We don't combine the pollution with the heat. We have a separate index that is about the ozone. Ozone is also an important pollutant during the summer, and is produced by strong insolation and plus some reaction due to other components. And so there is also another index taking into account the ozone in the tropospheric level, basically. So there are separate index, but yeah, maybe could be also combined in fact, because often when you have a kind of red alert for the heat stress, the ozone is also very high, and the ozone produce again health impacts on the respirator okay in the breathing. So yeah.
Frederico, there's a comment in the chat box about, you make a lot of reference to human health.
Yeah.
But what contribution do you give to the agricultural sector?
To the agriculture, there are other specific services not directly linked to this. I don't know if there are colleagues here I saw in the members of participants that are dealing with the agriculture part, and they do like services for irrigation. That will be the theme of the next seminar, I think in the 25th or no 29 perhaps. But it is not linked to this specific health service.
Okay, thank you so much. Any more questions, colleagues? Peter Koik, Peter, over to you.
Yeah, thank you for a very interesting presentation. I think on your third or fourth last slide, if you maybe can bring that up again.
Yeah.
The bar chart, there was that bar chart from, I think, 23, that one, yes. What's interesting, just a comment first and then a question, there, 23, 24, 2003, 2004, that period, we in the Western Cape also experienced a very significant drought. And then also from 2015 to 2019, also very, very severe drought in the Western Cape. So it's quite the coincidence of that with your high temperatures is quite interesting. And then my question is, these periods or years of high temperatures, how does that impact on the water sources and water supply in those regions?
Yeah, sure. So in 2022, for example, was a super dry year, and for us, there was a kind of really severe drought that ended in 2023. So it was a kind of drought lasting at least more than 1 year, and then ended severely in 2023 when we had major floods in our region. So again, the climate warming is producing also kind of more variability in Mediterranean climates with longer droughts, but also severe extreme events. And yeah, so everything is get more complicated basically, and put a lot of stress also on population, but also on our bodies, ourselves, meteorological services that needs to predict more extreme and more sudden changes from one condition to another. That was quite incredible in 2023. We were always talking about drought, how to do that, about how to deal with the drought that was never ending. And then suddenly in 1 month, basically, we had 2 major floods that costed a lot of losses and damages. So yeah, it's a kind of interesting time.
Thank you, Federico. Any further questions to Federico? If not, thank you so much, Federico. Let's give him a good round of applause.
Thanks.
Right, then we move over to our colleague in Catalonia, Carmi Pook, and she will tell us more about the viewer of Pima Adapta Costa. Over to you, my dear.
Thank you very much. So, first of all, I want to thank again to the organization for this opportunity to share with all of you our projects in coastal area. Also, I want to apologize because my colleague, Jordi Pinyol, who contributed significantly to this work, cannot do this presentation for personal reasons. As a result, maybe it could be some questions that, some technical questions about the viewer that I'm not able to give the answers. So let's go. I hope you find interesting our presentation, and also I hope that my English will be clear enough to every one of you. So the first, sorry, this one, sorry. First of all, this is the contents of, this will be the context of my presentation. First, I want to briefly introduce our institute. After that, we go on the main topic of the presentation, that is the PIMA Adapta Costas project and its viewer. And also, if you don't mind, I will share with you also the PIMA Costas evolution, that is the as ideal project. So the Institut Cartogràfic i Geològic de Catalunya is the official Catalan mapping and geological agency. We are a public institution that provides rigorous and quality information on our territory to face the challenges of our society, such as climate change, the management of risk and natural resources, sustainable development, or energy transition. We provide services which range from data capture to the implementation of solutions. And since 1982, we guarantee the officiality and independence of the geoinformation. Starting with the PIMA Adapta project, Adapta Costa project that it starts in 1917 and finished in 2020. The PIMA Adapta Costas initiative was promoted by the Spanish Ministry for the Ecological Transition in coordination with regional governments. It aims to estimate the effects of climate change on coastal zones by evaluating risk to both socioeconomic sectors and natural systems. Catalonia's participation in this project was led by the Department of Territory and Sustainability through a working group composed of the Catalan Office for Climate Change, the Meteorological Service of Catalonia, and our institute, the Cartographic and Geological Institute of Catalonia. The main task developed was to gather essential information to support the assess of coastal vulnerability from the climate change impact, to create an initiative to an interactive tool to visualize permanent flooding due to sea level rise along all the Catalan coast, to elaborate a technical report to assess the vulnerability and exposure of natural and socioeconomic assets along the Catalan coast to climate change impacts that includes an analysis of permanent marine flooding, wave-induced erosion, and spatial risk mapping based on climate projections. Also, we implement an online cartographic viewer to support decision-making and to raise awareness of coastal risk. And yeah, I will share with you this viewer in next slides. Concerning the data collection, we collect many different kinds of data from different sources, aerial imagery, bathymetric data. In this case, in MONTNet, we work with bathymetric data from MONTNet. That means a transnational scale, so no so detailed information about bathymetrics. We work with topographic maps, base cartographies, orthophotos, digital terrain models and LiDAR data, nautical charts, historical maps and engineering, administrative boundaries, climate and meteorological data, climate projections, socioeconomic data, urban planning maps in order to evaluate the impact, and also the natural protected sites maps. One thing that we want to highlight is the PIMA Adapta Costas project highlighted the need to have more precise spatial and temporal resolution datasets of the Catalan coastal area. Concerning the permanent flooding viewer due to sea level rise, it was a web-based tool that allowed to visualize permanent marine flooding risk. This viewer was initially published as an external viewer and later was integrated in the PIMA project viewer. And as I will show you later in this presentation today, this viewer has been updated and improved in a new viewer. The impact of coastal flooding was was a report on a technical document that it's only available in Spanish and Catalan. I'm sorry, but this technical report includes an analysis of permanent marine flooding, wave-induced erosion, and spatial reef mapping based on climate projection. We analyzed the flood surface of protected areas, of the total of land covered by water. We also evaluate the impact depending if it's an urban soil or not. Also, the affected population, the campsites, because our coastal it's a very touristic area, so there's full of campsites ubicated near to the shoreline. So we need also to evaluate the impact on this important economical activity. Also with the cadastre, with the number of affected parcels, the affected facilities, and also the affected infrastructures. The PIMA Adaptacostas viewer was one of the main issues of the project, and its goal was to provide the public with cartographic information on the impacts of coastal dynamics. Users can click on maps, on map element to view data from the most top layer. We also include a disclaimer because we want to highlight that this information is only for reference and must not be used for specific projects as a civil engineer work. It was very important for us. This is the main screen of the Windows, and as the viewer is only available in Spanish, I will show you briefly its contents using some screenshots. And please, if you can later access to the website and explore its functionalities. As you can see, you has a municipality church. In this left side, you have 6 tabs. That is the main PIMA contents. Each tabs will be I will share with you the contents in next slides. Also, you have an informational panel, a map-based selection where you can choose if you want to use topographic or ortho-imaginary. Also, some additional features as reset the map orientation to north, and also where the user is located, a cursor position, and obviously the scale. The main PIMA content menu has 6 tabs. The first one is the introduction, where you can find a descriptive text of the PIMA project. The second is coastal observation, that you can find information about coastal line, beaches, and bathymetry. The third one is boundaries, all related to administrative boundaries. Variables that include the climate projections, so that has been done by the Instituto Hidráulica Ambiental de Cantabria. That means that only one institution was in charge to elaborate all the climate projection and variables related to different scenarios for all the projects in all Spain, not only in Catalonia, but also in all the coastal regions in Spain. The 5th tab is related with scenarios. It's the result that shows the results of permanent flood modeling across Catalonia and wave-induced flood and erosion modeling for selected area. And the last one was dedicated to risk, where the impacts of we can see the impacts of these models on natural and socioeconomic systems. So the first, the coastal information tab, you can see that we use only 2 shorelines that were available in this moment. That the historical one corresponding to 1956, and the most recent in this moment, the coastal line from 2019. Each coastal line is classified following a standard classification in the project, and also for all the beaches, it's identify if it's natural, urban, or others. So in this case, for each beach, there is 83 fields of information that comes from different sources that we have consulted. Also in this tab, you can find the bathymetry in the last version that we have before the end of the project. Also in the tab and the vulnerability boundaries, you can find all the official delimitation of municipality, maritime terrestrial public domain, and hydraulic public domain. In this case, this is official information, comes from different ministries of Spain, and has been used to evaluate the affectations for flooding and wave impact. In this case, unfortunately, this part of the viewer doesn't work today because we lose the connection with the data service that I said before, that was generated by Hydraulic Institute of Cantabria. We are currently working to restore this connection, probably due a last update of servers. So, and I hope that in a few days, this part of the service will be again available. So in this case, only to share with you briefly, we work with projections and scenarios that were available when we work in the project. That means before 2020. And now we are working, as you will see later, in a new viewers with with currently scenarios. But in this case, you can see that as variables, we have the swell with the direction, the significant wave height, and the peak time period for coastal dynamics. For coastal dynamics, and then for the marine dynamic, we work with the sea surface temperature media and the sea level and the sea level. In fact, in this part of the viewer, you can see the difference between the choose scenario, the choose projection that you do, and the current scenario. I apologize. Concerning the permanent flooding due to sea level rise, we are working in updating. In fact, it's published a new version of this viewer, but in PIMA Adapta Coastals, we work with the projections 8.5 and 4.5 scenarios, and also we work with free values of 2 to 5 meters. So the user can simulate with precision determined by the digital terrain model that they choose, and 1 meter or 2 for 2 meters, the area that can be flooded due to sea level rise in the different scenarios you choose. Related to wave-induced flooding and final coastal line after the 12-hour storm, we only work in 8 coastal sections. Well, at this moment, only 8 coastal sections were developed these scenarios for wave-induced flooding and final coast position after 12 hours of stormy burn. We choose these three scenarios and 3 return periods. As a result, only in these 8 coastal sections, for instance, I show you this one that it's close to Barcelona. It's at the south part of Barcelona, a beautiful place called Sitges. Maybe we can do a meeting there. It's a very beautiful place. In this area, for example, in the scenario, the 1985-25, and the period of 500 years, you can compare the situation in the current scenario. That means it's in blue, and a scenario that 2081 21,000. I don't know exactly how to say this number, sorry. And a scenario of RPC 8.5 and the same return period of 500 years. As you can see, the wave-induced flooding, that means the time that it's flooded more up to 4 hours. It's bigger than in the actual scenario. The same for the final position of the coastal line. In blue, you can see the coastal line estimated position after a storm of more than 12 hours. And in dark pink, you can see the position of the estimated position of the coastal line in a scenario of 8.5. Regarding the impact due to permanent flooding among all the parameters studied, information is provided only for 2 scenarios. 32 centimeters sea level rise from period 2046-2065 under RPC 8.5. Sorry, 8.5. And a scenario of 84 sea level rise for at the year 20,000 under RPC 8.5. Regarding the impact due to wave action, the results are studied for present scenario and for and the scenario of 2081 and 2100 year RPC, considering also the 3 return periods. Concerning the risk, the socioeconomic impact to the permanent flooding, we analyze the affected area in line classification. That means it's urban or not urban area. Land qualification, that means in urban area, which is the current use, if it's an equipment or is a residence use. And in this case, the analysis was done with affected polygons. Also the affected land cover, so all the surface affected by permanent flooding, potential affected populations, considering only the residential qualification of the polygons, the potential affected population, and the roads affected by the roads and the railroads affected by permanent flooding. In this case, maybe the image is not so clear as here, and also this brown, light brown, show you what is the prediction for erosion in the 2081, 20, oh, come on a minute. 2020 and 100 RPC 8.5 scenario, and roads you can say the beach affected, sorry, for not for flooding, the roads affected by wave-induced flooding, and the erosion in these parts. Also, we evaluate the impact of permanent flooding and wave action by flooding and erosion with all the areas of natural interest, the Natura 2000 networks, wetlands inventory of areas of geological interest, and special protected natural areas, in order to have the whole vision of the impacts of these of permanent flooding in our coastal zone. I ask you please to access to the viewer and to test by yourself, maybe tomorrow better than today, because the link of climate variables are not able today, in order to check by yourself the functionalities. And then, if you don't mind, I will share with you some spots of the PIMA's evolution, that is the AS-IDL project that we are developing today. AS-IDL project stands for Survey d'Informació de la Dinàmica Litoral, that is the Coastal Dynamic Information System. This project was promoted in 2023 by the Generalitat de Catalunya, by the Department of Climate Actions, Food and Rural Agenda, and are funded by Climate Fund under the supervision of the Interdepartmental Commission on Climate Change. The coastal strategy developed in our institute is implemented through this service. When PIMA Adapta Costa was finished, a lesson learned was the need of improving coastal information, this motivate the definition of this new project. This project starts in 2023, and it's coordinated by ICGC, and includes the participation of universities, research centers, municipalities, regional, national public administration, and its initial phase will finish on 2026. Their objectives are to acquire, compile, and publish geoinformation and knowledge related to coastal zone at an appropriate resolution. It contributes to improve planning and management and coastal resources and land uses, and promote scientific research. It extends all the entire coastal zone of Catalonia, from the shoreline to a depth of approximately 15-20 meters offshore, and up to 0.5, 1 kilometer inland. The users are public administration, research community, and general public, to raise awareness of the effects of climate change. The main work packages that we work are three. One is related to coastal morphology. We are improving bathymetry and monitoring bathymetry. Now we have a bathymetry of 1 meter resolution, and we are working to has the methodology to monitoring this bathymetry, to has a dynamic information. We also acquire LiDAR and coastal imagery. We generate elevation models. We have at the moment 4 stations for video monitoring coastal position and near bathymetry in real time. We acquire historical and recent shorelines in order to do its analysis. Also, we work in a second line of knowledge, that is the sediment plan. and we acquire information and data not only in subaerial zones, but also in the submerged zone. We are working on geomorphological map, sediment characterization. We also analyze the sediment production in rivers, so we work in quantifying erosion in land, and also all the anthropogenic contributions to the sand that it's apported to the beaches by men. In the submerged zone, high-resolution seismic profiles are shot, and also we take sediment samples and vibrochorus, and we work has a 3D model of the volumetry of the sediment crystal. The last one is it's hazard impact and vulnerability assess. We work first in the hazards from landslide and rockfalls on beaches and coastal paths, because the vulnerability it's height and it's an area with public uses. Also, we work in improve all the work done in team adapta coastas, including marine erosion, hazards and impacts, to define a coastal vulnerability index, and to analyze the impact of significant storms. And also we monitoring the subsidence. All the data and services are available in our websites that you can access and you can download in a standard format. Nowadays it's bathymetry, coastal orthophoto, and coastal line. Also, we build applications and viewers to help in discover this kind of this information, and after you download all the information you need. And we are progressively publishing in our website all the results. Also, we have a littoral viewer that show all the data together that acquired by the project. You can access, and it's dated, it's available. And also, this is the update of permanent flooding due to sea level rise with the updated scenarios. And also in this case, we also includes a permanent flood probability map, where for each raster cell, the probability of permanent flooding is calculated based on the number of times it is inundated across 45 combinations, corresponding to the 5 scenarios and the 9 time horizons. The result is visualized using the traffic light. Also, an image comparer is available that allows the observation of pre and post temporal images. And finally, we monitoring the subsidence in the coastal area. The CIDAL project is still in development, and with the aim to be consolidated as a structural project to acquire, update dynamic information and data from which to assess climate change impacts, and to design best adaptation paths and increase the coastal resilience. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope I follow the time with more or less accuracy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carmi. Great job. Thank you so much. No, you're well in time. Any questions to her? You saw 3 great tools this morning, colleagues. Any questions? I see one from Federico. Federico, you can go ahead.
No, I was just giving congratulations for the presentation and for the very nice tool that the colleague from Catalonia presented. I don't have a specific question. It's a bit out of my task.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Federico. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, colleagues? We've got some time. I don't see any, but you've seen 3. Gerard, I see your hand, Gerard.
Indeed, I'm still recovering from the amount of information there and the breadth of of these tools. It's really amazing how much has gone into putting all that together. And I was just wondering, what kind of capacity do you need in terms of human resources and finances to put this together? Like I said, it's really it was blowing me away.
That's a very interesting question and a difficult answer. Concerning the PIMA Adaptacostas project, it was a project founded by the Spanish government, but I don't know exactly the amount that our institute received, but as a human resources, in our case, 2 people, essentially my colleague, that is out of the city for personal reasons, and they work also with others, institutions. So it's difficult to say in PIMA Adaptacostas project, but in
Karma, I'm here, Leo, from the
Ah!
Climate Change Office. Hi there. Hi,
wow,
everybody.
thank
It
you.
was,
Good
it was
morning,
€500,000.
welcome.
Thank you, Ilse. It was €500,000, if I don't remember bad. $500,000, let's say, American dollars, more or less.
And the number of people working on this tool?
Mainly was from our cartographic institute, but the climate change office was 1 person, and the meteorological service another one, I think.
And the university also.
Oh yeah, that's true. And in the cartographical institute, you were 3, if I'm not wrong. Around 5 people. 2?
Yeah.
Okay, around
2.
4 or 5 people.
Great. I think the reason for the collaboration and for this type of engagements, and thank you, Karmi, it was a great presentation, and thank you to all 3 the presenters. I think the value add we want to see from this is also engagements between the different teams now. And it might even mean a team from Catalonia comes to South Africa, or a team from South Africa, or 1 person from South Africa goes to Catalonia to come and see how you do this type of work and the tools, and see how we can learn from one another. So I would like us to, there's another seminar or a webinar coming up on the 29th. Look at these webinars with a different set of glasses on, in terms of also sharing expertise and really getting working relationships between the institutions. So thank you so much for the 3 tools, all in the climate change umbrella topic. And any more questions to any of the 3 speakers before we close off? Any questions? I must say we had a total of 66 people who joined the webinar, which is really a good outcome. And 57 stayed till the end. So they were really interested in the 3 topics. Thank you so much for everyone. If there aren't any more comments or questions, one final request. Any questions? Any comments? If not, Carmi, maybe you can just put in the chat box your email address for us, so everyone can pick up the links with you if they want to do that. Federico has put his in, and Mike as well. So just type yours in, and people, please make contact with one another. Let's really work on a working relationship within the MCAP partnership. With that, I want to thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Keep up the very, very good work. that you're doing in this space, and thank you for being wonderful partners within the MCAP partnership. Always welcome to come to the Western Cape. Just as a little advert, it's becoming summer now in the Western Cape. So if you don't have any holiday plans, we are here to welcome you. Good food, good wine, good beaches, and good weather. And with that, thank you so much. We will see you again on the 29th of September in our second webinar. Let's give the speakers a nice round of applause.
Thank you so much, Ilse.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.